This is Jill Ward with Century 21 Island Homes, and I want to talk to you now about the actual process, what happens once you find a home you want to put an offer in on. So previously we talked about setting up alerts, you've searched for your property, you've met with the lender, you have a pre-approval letter, ready to go, we're ready to go shopping, seriously. So you find your home and we put an offer in on that home. We will go through the purchase contract together and we will submit the offer. And that offer will be a contract. There'll be some addenda. I ask my clients to write a personal letter, kind of explaining to the seller a little bit about themselves and why they love the home. And then also the pre-approval letter, which we talked about in the previous video from the lender. So we submit that offer. Hopefully it's accepted by the seller. And so now we've made an offer, we have acceptance, and we're going to open escrow. When we open escrow, that is the place where they hold all of the documents and collect the money and distribute the money. So when we open it, usually there is an initial deposit, and we'll talk about that during the purchase contract phase, that sellers like to see that you have a little skin in the game and that you're committed. So that's the first little bit of money you'll need is your initial deposit to open escrow. So, and then once we open escrow, it's very exciting because usually in the purchase contract, we say within X number of days, you'll conduct a home inspection. So that number tends to be a little bit lower, just so we can get in and figure out if this is exactly what you want, and if not, we can move on. So that is usually about 10 days, a 10-day inspection period. So you want to get in and inspect usually about day 5. So it gives us a little time to set that up with the inspector. Go in and have approximately a 3-hour home inspection. The home inspector at the end of the home inspection will do a run through, show you photos, show you things around the property, point out areas of concern. A lot of times in inspection, the inspector will find a lot of things that they will mention during the course of the overview. However, you want to make sure if there are any major issues. Are there roof issues or plumbing issues or electrical issues? Big ticket items that you're going to want to discuss prior to buying the home. So you conduct a home inspection, and then if you want to move forward, we will then tell escrow and the seller, yes, you want to move forward, and you will submit an additional deposit. So over the course of those few things, you'll need money for an initial deposit. You will need payment for the inspector, the home inspector, and then also for an additional deposit. And as a buyer, those are the 3 points in time that you're going to need to have liquid funds available. So once you move forward with J1, which is a term of art, the term we use here, it's the paragraph in the purchase clause. Once you move forward with J1 or your inspection, you are now kind of sitting back a little bit in the real estate process, and now the lending process kicks into high gear. And that's when you're going to have more conversations with your lender about additional paperwork you need, filling out applications. You're going to be filling out all of the initial escrow documents as well. The lender will send out an appraiser to the property that is paid for through your lending process within the escrow process. It's not something you need cash for. The appraiser will go out to the property and make sure that there are no conditions that need to be met, physical conditions, smoke detectors, railings, other health and hazard kind of things. And part 2, does it meet the value? Does the home hold the value that if the bank lends you X number of dollars, if something happens to you and you can't pay your mortgage, will the sale of that home cover the amount you still owe? So it's an appraisal on the property to make sure it meets the value that you've offered. So we're now in escrow, you're dealing with your lender, the appraisal's been conducted, and that appraiser then will submit a report to the lender within about 10 to 14 days. And you'll know if you're clear at that point, or if you as a buyer need to go back to the seller for any reason, if the appraisal comes up short, or if there are any conditions to be met. The other big part of this is the termite inspection. So usually about 2 to 3 weeks prior to your closing, the buyer chooses the termite inspector and the seller pays for the charge most often. So the termite inspector will come into the property. It's another opportunity for you to go to the house. So the inspection is the first one. The termite inspection is another. And the inspector will go around and check for drywood termites, ground termites, and any other. Sometimes they'll pick up on other pests that they might find, like birds in an attic or other things. But that termite inspector is there to make sure that there are no termites. If they find active termites, the house will have to likely be either spot treated, depending on the area and size, or fumigated, which is tented. Those expenses are paid for by the seller most often, again, per the contract, and that will take care of the termites. The termite company, which does the treatment, will produce a letter or a certificate that we give to the lender to tell the lender, yes, now the house is cleared of termites. And that's usually one of the conditions for a lender to actually fund the loan. So we want to make sure there are either no termites or if there is evidence that it's been treated. So we've now been in escrow, you're in touch with your lender, we're close to closing, there's been an appraisal, you've had your termite inspection, and we're getting super close to closing. So let's leave that for a third video so these don't get too lengthy, and we'll talk kind of about the closing process after all those other things happen. Thank you.